With us right now is South Carolina Senator,
Neil.
sits on the Senate Finance Committee, Tim Scott. Senator, great to see you. I'm sorry to let this be the peg to which we go to you, sir. But, you know, you have been warning, in fact, before many others, about government spending and how that was setting in motion some of the inflation we see now. As you know, the White House said that a lot of it was propelled out of control by the war, et cetera, in Ukraine. But it's clearly inflation now that's ruling the roost, and fears that we're not only behind the curve, but it's going to get worse. It's going to put a crimp on the economy. It clearly might already be happening. What do you think?
Well, Neil, there's no doubt that if we look at what precipitated the Russian invasion was high inflation. We saw gas prices up about 67%. We saw inflation around 7 to 8%. We saw 40-year high in inflation before the Russian genocide. So the truth is that the President Biden's policies, economic policies, have led to the worst inflationary effects in our economy in 40 years. That means that the average person in our country is experiencing an invisible tax that is eroding their spending power. That means our seniors who are on fixed income have to find a way to ration either their health care, their medicine, their energy, or food. It means that people who are growing up in households like the one I grew up in, they're now having to make harder decisions than they've ever had to make. That's wrong. Biden pouring so much money into our economy has caused our economy to explode in a negative way.
All right. Now, you might not be surprised that the White House has a slightly different view of that and has fingered, you know, other factors here. Today, for example, a lot of people are saying maybe part of this is the Federal Reserve's fault, that its move to aggressively raise interest rates comes too little too late. Others say just the opposite, that now some of these stark measures it appears to be taking to lift interest rates, it's going to slow the economy down and it won't address the underlying inflation. We got a hint of that show labor costs are running at an 8% clip right now. So whatever people are making, they're paying out, and it's like a double whammy. Do you see anything changing that?
I don't, Neil. The problem is that this government has acted too slow too often. They created the inflation. Now they want to have credit for solving the problem, when in fact the problem may actually exacerbate the situation. When your rates start going up, your economic activity starts going down, and that makes you get a little closer to a recession. The truth is that while the inflationary effects cannot be stopped right now, the increase in the interest rates will slow it down, but I don't think it's going to stop it because it's too little too late. The Fed does not have enough tools in the toolkit for the economy that we have today, especially since, as you know, Neil, our unemployment rates are already significantly lower than is normal in this kind of environment. Our labor force participation rate is not actually increasing. That combination is very concerning. And so the interest rates will make it harder for people to buy homes, but for our seniors on fixed incomes, they'll see a bit of a bump in their resources that they have.
You know, Senator, it's interesting, but this does appear to be a worldwide problem. In Britain, of course, they just raised rates for the fourth time since just December. I think they're in and out of 13, 14-year highs on interest rates. Turkey's running a 70% inflation rate, Argentina 75%, Brazil 50%, Europe collectively now in excess of 11%. Are we back in the 70s here?
Well, I tell you what, I think we are. I mean, literally, this feels like the Carter eras. When you think about the explosive price in gas, when you think about what it costs to heat or cool your home if you're in South Carolina, it is drastic. But more importantly, when you look at the global effect, you remember the days, Neil, when Venezuela was at a 900% inflationary effect because of the crushing decisions of their government.
Why would you assume I'm that old, Senator? Why would you assume I'm that old? Actually, I do remember it verbatim.
That was only 2 or 3 years ago. We're both. It's only 2 or 3 years ago. So the truth is that the whole globe responds to the type of economic decisions that we make here at home. That's why our global leadership economically matters so much. We should be forcing decisions here at home. Like, why not restart our own energy economy, creating 6-figure jobs here at home, why not continue the conversation around the Keystone XL pipeline? Why not have the PPE coming back home? Why not use opportunity zones to attract insourcing back into America?
Well, assuming,
we did it in
Senator,
South
that
Carolina.
doesn't happen. Let's say politically,
back.
reading the tea leaves here, that doesn't seem likely, at least under this administration. You could argue right now they're really hanging their hats on maybe more spending. They've talked about, college loan forgiveness and all of that. I just wonder, is their cure, it's far from what your cure would be. It doesn't sound like anything will happen legislatively, if even that's an option here, and everything is hanging on the Federal Reserve. Does that worry you?
It does worry me because, as we know, that the Federal Reserve can only increase interest rates. That's really they could slow, of course, they're starting the process of unwinding their balance sheet or reducing their balance sheet. That will have impact too. So they could slow that and increase interest rates. But the truth of the matter is, our economy needs smart, reasonable leadership at the top. We're not getting that right now. They have fundamentally misunderstood the American economy, pouring $2 trillion in the first 60 days of the administration, then a $1.2 trillion plan, and then they talked about trillions of more dollars, the Build Back Broker plan, as I like to call it. So what we're talking about is Democrats who believe that more money from the government is a solution to an already hot economy. That is antithetical to reality. He also, of course, President Biden said he wants to reduce costs for companies by raising wages. In other words, he doesn't understand the private sector. So we need to make sure that we focus on solutions, not things that only exacerbates the situation.
Senator, while I have you, we're learning of some spike in COVID cases, certainly abroad and in China, where they're trying to get this under control. They're off their worst levels, but they're still jumping, just not as high as they had been. And in New York City, they've raised the COVID risk level amid a surge in the New York metropolitan area with an increase in hospitalizations, possibly not deaths. Only reason why I raise it with you, sir, is this notion that maybe we're not out of the COVID woods, and this is partly weighing on some of the selling and adding to the uncertainty. What do you think of that?
Well, there's no doubt when you look at the supply chain coming from China that it's going to have an impact on that supply chain when people can't go to work because they're on a strong COVID lockdown. But COVID is going to be is endemic within our community at this point, not an epidemic as I see it. So what we need to do is continue to make the adjustments that we're seeing around the country. The good news is at home in South Carolina, our unemployment rate is 3.4% statewide. We have 2.9 in Greenville and Columbia, 3.1 in Charleston, or those numbers maybe around those numbers. So the good news is we're proving that we can handle the COVID challenges in a right-to-work environment. I'd recommend that we export South Carolina values and the dignity and work throughout the rest of the country, especially places like New York and California. So I think we have solutions to the problems that we're seeing around those blue states.
Well, my teenage son agrees with you, son, because he goes to Clemson, but even he will admit in the summertime,
Go Tigers.
In the summertime, it's very hot and humid. You have to admit that, but there's no way you can legislate your way out of that. But Senator, while I do have you, and just forwarding a little bit from what's going on in the markets, your name has been bandied about by quite a few folks as a possible presidential candidate, a possible running mate, but that you're a lot of hopeful talk about you beyond the United States Senate. When you hear that, how do you react to that?
Well, it makes me chuckle. It also tells me that God has a sense of humor. As a guy who darn near failed civics and high school as a freshman, the truth is that we live in the most amazing place. What I will say, Neil, is simply this. America is the solution, not the problem. The more we invest in ourselves, the more we believe in ourselves, the better our future is. There's not a greater contrast today than the left leadership versus the right leadership. We have amazing national leaders from the state level throughout this country to the United States Senate on the right. So we have a lot of firepower coming to the table, and we have the solutions. They don't.
All right, that's a very diplomatic and modest answer. But finally, Senator, I do want to get your take on this idea Republicans are well poised to do well in these midterm elections, take over the House, possibly the Senate, but that there's growing pressure on the party to sit back and let it happen and not help or do anything to disrupt this. What do you say to Republicans who say that's the strategy you should take?
Well, I'm a former football player, so I always think that you should have your offense on the field as often as possible, and our offense should contrast what we did when we were in leadership from 2016 to 2020 versus what they've done in leadership. What we did while we were in leadership was we created 7 million jobs, 2/3 of those jobs going to women, 70-year low, African Americans, all-time low, Hispanics, all-time low, Asians, all-time low, overall population 3.5%. We were very compassionate. We focused on historically black colleges and universities when we were in the majority, and we funded them to the highest level possible. We worked on rare blood diseases like sickle cell anemia and many others. We actually had an agenda that focused on the American people. So we need to go back to the future, 2016 to 2020, and contrast that to the future that we're living right now, and that's foreshadowing bad news with higher inflation, higher spending, higher taxes versus lower taxes, lower unemployment, and higher labor force participation rates. The good news is we know how to get it done.
I didn't know we had so much in common, Senator. I, too, played football, had the cleanest uniform on the team because I never got in. But I discover more and more of these common things. Senator, great seeing you again. Sorry under these circumstances with the big sell-off. Senator Tim Scott, the beautiful state, South Carolina. Well, it's getting a little hot and humid there. All right, Senator, thank you again.